Welcome to Tech Tools for Test Success, your video tutorial guide to mastering every trick and technique in taking an online state test. This is the third tutorial in our series, Tools for English Language Arts. What are we doing today? Well, this tutorial will help us learn how to use the tools specific to English language arts activities and questions for the various ELA tests you may complete. As we work, feel free to explore the online tools used in the video. Pause the playback whenever you want to apply any of the tools I discuss. Remember that this only works if you do. Begin by signing into nextgen.nwoca.org. That's nextgen.nwoca.org. This site holds the tutorial software we will use to master today's tools. When you log in to nextgen.nwoca.org, you'll see a page that looks like this. Let's scroll down a little bit to the left and look for ELA Performance-Based PBA. We'll be using the Grade 9 PBA today. If you are working in junior high, don't worry. The Grade 9 PBA for English Language Arts will show the same tools that you'll be using at the junior high level. Click on Grade 9. The TestNav simulation will ask you to enter a name. Go ahead and enter your name, and then click Start Test Now. Click Start Section. This is the English Language Arts window. You can see a few different items within this window. First, you'll see a scenario. This will tell you exactly what you are doing for the test. It'll talk about the different texts that you will read and or watch, and what you can aim to write at the end of the test. You'll also see an embedded window here in the main window. The embedded window will offer the text that you will read. You can scroll independently through the embedded window and through the main window. You'll see questions to the right, usually Part A and Part B questions. And the answering of those questions has been discussed in the previous tutorial video about general tools and usage. Let's look at our first ELA-specific tool, the Notepad. You'll find it in the toolbar at the top of the page. Click on the button, and a blank pad will open. You can type into this pad. This note may be taken for you to help understand the text, an observation about the text, something that you may wish to use with writing later. If you click X, you'll close the notepad. But when you reopen the notepad, you'll notice that your note will remain. Let's close that notepad and go to Item 2. If we open the notepad on Item 2, it will appear that your note has disappeared. However, that's not the case. The notepad simply resets for each item. Let's close it and move back to Item 1. If we click on the notepad, you will see that your note is still there, but it's only connected to item number 1. This will challenge you to remember which notes you took where, but you should be able to find them pretty easily. Let's close out of the notepad and work on the next ELA-specific tool, highlighting. We'll be working in the embedded window, so scroll into the embedded window so you can work with it. Highlighting is just what it sounds like. You can highlight words or sentences to keep notes for yourself. Your ELA teacher may have taught you how to annotate a text, especially color-coding highlighting for different ideas. If you wish to use the highlighter, you simply click on the text, select what you'd like to highlight, and click a color. You can select different colors to color code if you wish. Remember, as with all tools, if you do not find that the highlighter helps you, don't use it. Don't use any tool that you find will confuse you or slow you down on the test. However, if you have a system for highlighting and annotating, you have a highlighter at your disposal. Just like the notepad, you'll notice that when you move from item to item, even though it seems that the same text is there in the embedded window, your highlights disappear. Again, that's because highlights are specific to an item, and they will stay. You'll still see your highlights in item 1 where you originally selected. Let's move to our third ELA-specific tool, sentence selection. Look at Part B in Item 1. Part B reads, besides the sentence that contains the phrase mentioned in Part A, select the other sentence in paragraph 1 that helps the reader understand the meaning of the phrase recipient of confidences. This is a vocab item, and it asks me to pick a sentence from paragraph 1 that helps me understand this phrase. You'll notice a number of sentences are highlighted in blue. Not all, but most in paragraph 1. Simply clicking on one will highlight it in yellow. By clicking on one sentence, I have answered the question. By clicking on a different sentence, the highlighted yellow disappears from that sentence and appears in the new sentence that you have selected. In this way, you can answer the question. It may seem strange to students that you do not need to click Submit or Save in order to answer this question, and that is the case often. This question has been answered the moment I click on a sentence. Keep that in mind when you are answering for sentence selection. Let's move to our next item by going to item number 10. Click on the Review button, scroll down to item 10, and click View. Let's talk about tabbed readings. With an ELA test, you may need to read more than one text selection. For literary analysis, you will read 2. For research simulation, you will read 3. When you reach the end and you must write an essay addressing all 3 or both items, you will find that these items have been arranged for you by tabs. Right now, I can read the Robert Oppenheimer speech, or I can click Petition to the President or Decision to Drop the Bomb. This prevents me from having to scroll back and forth to look at different texts in different windows. All 3 texts are available, and by clicking on the tabs, I can access any one I wish. Let's look at the Robert Oppenheimer speech for a moment to check out our next tool for English language arts. Scrolling through the Robert Oppenheimer speech, you will see a word underlined in paragraph 2. The word is complementarity, and you may not know what that means. The underlining means that this word has been defined for you in a glossary. Click on the word, and you can see a glossary definition. You'll also notice when you hover over a question mark appears. But the underlining will show you that this word is defined. Scroll later, and you will not see any other words that have been defined through the glossary. However, let's check Petition to the President. In Petition to the President, in paragraph 2, we see sanction. Click, and you can see the definition of consent to. Some words are challenging and will not be part of vocab items, so they're defined for you through the glossary. Let's move to the right and see the writing tools in the text window. The writing tools for writing an essay or an analysis in an English language arts test are fairly simple. You can use bold, italics, or underline, bullets, numbers. You can cut, copy, and paste. You can undo and redo actions, just as you would in a very basic word processing software. When I reach the end of the paragraph, I can click Enter, and I do not need to press Tab to indent the next paragraph. The online ELA test asks you to use a block style of format for paragraph division. A block style does not indent each first line. Instead, the block style will create an extra space between paragraphs instead of the indentation. You'll see the texts within the embedded windows using just that style. And if you try to use the Tab button within the writing window, you'll find that it does not work. Let's look at one more tool for English language arts, we'll move to item 12. Item 12 shows dragging and dropping. I covered this tool in the general tools and usage, but we should cover it again here in English Language Arts. The question reads, select a central theme of the passage and drop it into the box titled Central Theme. Then select the two most relevant details that support the theme and drop each one into a box titled Supporting Detail. Please note, the supporting details do not need to be selected in any particular order. This may seem simple enough. You click on and pick up a blue highlighted section. However, you need to click on it, hold it down near the bottom to move the window at the same time. If you have a wheel on your mouse, you can click with one finger and use the wheel on the mouse with your other finger to move through and drag and drop. If you don't have a wheel on your mouse, you may need to use your fingers very carefully to click on an item, pull it down to the bottom of the window until the window moves. You can easily drop an item in this way, kind of like dropping it on the ground. Let's try that again. In this drag and drop item, if I wish to eliminate an answer that I think is actually incorrect, I can click on the X. This drag and drop item is a little bit trickier than the average, so spend some time practicing it on a Chromebook or with a mouse. Master it so you'll have no problem dragging and dropping items, and you can focus on the content at hand. Remember, if you master the notepad, highlighting, sentence selection, tabbed readings, glossary, writing tools, and drag and drop, you can prepare for success. Good luck.